If you do these 5 things, you will be able to accelerate the growth of your store and avoid common mistakes that cost people a lot of money. To find out what these things are, just keep watching.
Now if you feeling how I'm feeling, put your hands up high. If you feeling how I'm feeling, put your lighters in the sky.
What's up everybody, Taps here. I hope you're having a fantastic day. If you're new to my channel, then welcome. This is a place where you can learn all about e-commerce, social media marketing, drop shipping, and how to create a successful brand online. We're gonna rip straight into today's content with the first thing you need to do before you start drop shipping. Item number 1, you need to acquire social proof. I cannot stress this enough. There are so many stores out there that look like they are a straight up scam. It's 2018 and people are very aware of cybersecurity, and for you to get them to pull their credit card out of their wallet and input their information, you need to look legit. So before you start running your Facebook ads, you need to generate some social proof first. This means that before you start testing your product ads, run a like campaign to your page first. Now, spending an extra $10 to $20 at the start can make a difference in the long run. If you acquire authority on your Facebook page before you test any products, people are more likely to trust you with their money. This also applies if you're using Instagram as your primary method. Whatever you do, do not start selling products before you have some form of social proof. Step number 2 is to manage your shipping times before you start targeting ads. A lot of people see offers on AliExpress and note that the products ship worldwide. Therefore, they automatically update shipping settings on their store to also ship worldwide. While this makes sense at first instance, not all countries are created equal. For example, when you're shipping from China to the US, there is an e-packet option that gets the product there anywhere between 12 and 20 days. This is a reasonable time frame. On the contrary, shipping products from China to the UK takes much longer. There is usually a 20 to 40 day shipping time. This is not a reasonable time frame. If it can take up to 5 weeks or more for your product to arrive at the customer's doorstep, there are going to be problems when it comes to customer service. The obvious result of this is an unhappy customer and customer service issues that you are going to have to deal with. The moral of the story here is to check the shipping times before you commit to selling the product. There are advanced methods which can be used to reach these countries, but when you're starting out, it's important to build yourself a base set of skills and get the fundamentals right before you try and do anything too advanced. Off the back of this comes tip number 3. Be honest and upfront about your shipping times. It's important to always keep at the front of your mind that the opportunity to create stable and ongoing income comes from creating happy customers and therefore repeat customers. The way to generate repeat customers is by providing them with a good customer experience. When it comes to drop shipping, a big portion of this relates to your shipping times, and it can be a deep dark hole that people often fall into when they're starting out. In most situations, people don't actually care if they have to wait up to 20 days before they receive their product. However, they will care if they aren't made aware of this and they're expecting to receive it sooner. You need to be upfront and honest about your shipping times. This doesn't mean having them on a hidden tab somewhere on your website that says shipping policy, but this means to put them on your product page, on your checkout page, and then to reiterate them in your confirmation emails. If you do all of the above, you're setting yourself up well to create a positive customer experience, and when you do that, you create a happy customer, and when you have a happy customer, they often turn into a repeat customer. Tip number 4, you have to be prepared to front the cost of products. Remember that when customers purchase items from your store, you aren't instantly going to be paid. On PayPal, it takes anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks before you get paid, and Stripe pays out weekly. This means that if you were relying on the money from the customer purchase in order to buy the product from AliExpress, you have a problem.
Houston, we have a problem.
Yes, you are running an online business, but there are still barriers and cost to entry that you need to account for. So make sure that you have some sort of debit card or credit card or some sort of means of income that you can use to purchase the products in the meantime while you wait for the money from the sale to come through. This is a common mistake people make when getting into online business because it can be seen as some sort of get-rich-quick scheme or some sort of magic bullet, but the reality is that you have to be able to put in the work and put in the money before you're going to see a return. Yes, there is heaps of money to be made, but you have to be patient like anything. You really need to stay grounded and remind yourself if you're here to play the long game, that you need to do the small things right. Tip number 5 is to protect yourself legally. Now, I'd like to flag that even though I became a lawyer in New Zealand before I moved to Asia and e-commerce became my full-time gig, anything that I say next does not constitute official legal advice. Cool? Now that I've made that clear, a common question that people ask before they start dropshipping is, do I need to set up my business as a separate legal entity? In the US, this is known as an LLC. The short answer to this is no. You can start any type of e-commerce venture right now, and by default, you would be known as a sole proprietor. There is no legal paperwork required to become a sole proprietor because this is the default option when you aren't setting up a partnership or a company. However, even though it's not required to set up a company, it's still a very good idea to do so, especially if you're serious about this. Now, no matter where you're dropshipping to, you want to set up the company in your local country of residence. Take me for example. I'm from New Zealand, but right now I'm living in Singapore. However, if I were to start a new company, I would want to set it up in New Zealand. In New Zealand, it costs around $250, so I realized this option wouldn't be for everybody. However, if you are really looking at playing the long game with this, it is a very smart investment to set one up. If you do not set up a company and then you end up getting sued, there is no legal distinction between you and your company.
So what we'll do, I guess we'll sue them. Let's sue them, right? Let's sue them.
This means that if that fancy lava lamp that you've been dropshipping just happens to have an electrical fault or explode in someone's house and then burn their house down, you can personally be liable for that damage. Now, if this happens, you'll really be wishing that you set up that company, because if you did, then the liability would most likely fall to the company and not to yourself personally. Now, please note again, this is not legal advice. I have only scratched the surface on how company law works. There are many more elements to this, and if you are getting a hit up from someone because your lava lamp burnt down their house, then I recommend seeing a lawyer, like ASAP. Now, if you're running a dropshipping store or you want to start one, then make sure that you consider the 5 things that we've talked about. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you learned something, please let me know by giving me a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Keep an eye out for more content. I'll be putting out more stuff all on e-commerce, social media marketing, and really deep diving on the psychology behind sales and marketing tactics and how you can use those in your store. I really appreciated you joining me today, and I can't wait to see you in my next video. Until then, hey, cheers.
Now if you feeling how I'm feeling, put your hands up high.